Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Little Modular. Today we will take a closer look at this stylish, elegant percussion module made by German company VERMONA. This is TWINCUSSION, meaning, as you could suspect, it's a double percussion module. What I really like about this module is that it could be your classical drum machine, so we can get all kinds of classical percussion sounds like from the old vintage drum machines. So anything from thumping, fat, kicks to claves, snares, you name it, you can get pretty much any kind of percussive sound out of this. But what I like even more about it is that you can achieve some non-typical percussive sounds with it, and it's really easy to operate. Let's start with the basics. When you look at the module, you will see that it's divided clearly into two sections. Both of these sections are nearly identical, having some minor differences, allowing for some really nice dynamical shaping of the sounds, but I will show it to you later on. Here is the VCA. If you want to hear a sound, you need to turn it up. Okay, now here you choose which of the shapes you want to use: square, triangle, and sine wave. And right off the bat you can hear that it could be really punchy, and you can get all those kinds of really sub kicks up to some bongo type of sounds, some toms. So that's where you choose the wave, and that's where you choose the pitch of the sound. But the pitch depends also on the range you choose. You have two ranges, low and high. Low range spans from 20 Hz to 200 Hz. So that's the main bass range. So if you want to kick, that's where you would switch. Now, we can also go to the high range to get all kinds of chirpy sounds. And this range goes from 100 Hz to 3000 Hz. So we can get all those chirpy triangle metallic sounds. Okay. Now below here you have a pitch modulation control. So if you turn it up, it is going to modulate the pitch of this oscillator. When you connect some external modulation source, this controls amount of this modulation. And below here, it's the aforementioned envelope generator. And this is specially tailored to percussive sounds like everything else in this module. And that's what I especially love about this module, because many times manufacturers use just the standard envelopes, and that's simply not enough for a percussive module. And VERMONA understood that. So you can create, as you can hear, some really clicky, short percussive sounds, leaving only the transients, which could be really useful. So for example, the kick sound can cut through the mix. And it's really simple: attack and decay. Now if I increase decay, you can hear how this kick cuts with this click at the beginning. If I want to get rid of it, I can just increase the attack, and I can do it in a very precise way. That's because it's extremely fast. For example, the attack spans from 1 milliseconds to 2 seconds, but even at 12 o'clock it's still really fast. It's around 5 milliseconds. So you can really fine-tune the most important part of every percussive sounds, which is the transient part. And same with decay. It could go from really fast to really long. So we can achieve almost bass-like sounds. Okay? Now if we switch to the second section, it's almost identical with few minor differences, but important differences. So we also get 3 different shapes. We also get square, sine wave, but instead of triangle, we get noise. So you can construct hi-hats, snares, and similar sounds with it. Besides that, you also get external control over decay of the envelope generator, and that's really important for achieving those dynamic hi-hat sounds that, you know, open and close and evolve all the time. Let me show you. I have this modulation source from Bastard Trinity, awesome module, which I will review really soon, and I'll stick it into the CV input for the second envelope generator. And as I increase this knob right here, you can hear that the decay is changing, allowing me for some dynamic patterns. And I can of course do it with each of the sounds. So we can get all those funky sounding dynamic patterns depending on what kind of modulation you're sticking here. Speaking of modulation, that's the other part where TWINCUSSION really shines. It has extensive CV input and output capabilities. Those 2 sockets are for gating the first and the second section. So you plug in your trigger sources in here, and here clearly labeled is the CV input section and output section. As for CV in, you can modulate the pitch of both oscillators simultaneously with the VCO A plus B. You can modulate them separately, VCO A and VCO B, and you can also control the VCA with some external envelopes or LFOs or whatever. Also, as I showed you before, you can control the decay of second section. As for outputs, you have output of each envelope generator, which is really nice because you can control some external sources with those 2 generators, greatly expanding palette of sounds. Also, you have outputs for each of these waves. So not only you get separate outputs for each of the section right here, section A and section B, but also in parallel and totally independently, you get each of those waves here. So we can use it somewhere else in the system. So this is a really flexible arrangement that allows TWINCUSSION to become a centerpiece of your modular drum machine setup. If there is nothing trigger in the gate B section, you can trigger both of these sections with only one trigger. That's how it sounds. So we can construct some layered percussion sounds with both of these sections simultaneously. Now let's say I want to construct some fat snare. So we're gonna meet the body of the sound with this section and the higher content with this section. We want this click and attack, not too much tail. That's about right. Now let's bring in the second section. Sounds cool to me. Now I want to modulate decay of this upper content a bit. Not too much, so it's not too obvious. Only slight variations. Okay, and you can see how fast and how easy it is to achieve layered sounds with it. Now, the output section is also normalized. If there's nothing plugged into the A section, you still get output of both of these sections with the second one. So you still can hear both of these sections. If both are plugged in here, you get separate control over both of these sections. As you can hear, it's really a breeze to achieve percussive sounds. Like, let's say I want to have some clave. I just switch to the upper part, maybe switch to some other waveform, and do some crazy layered clave sound. And of course you can make some chords with it. Okay, here an octave. But you're not limited only to percussive sounds. We can make some really crazy synth sounds. For example, let's modulate the pitch of both of the sections simultaneously. I have pressure points CV out connected to VC A plus B, and you can hear I'm controlling both of the oscillators simultaneously, but we could control them independently. So I could plug the pressure points to VCO A CV in, and for instance I can connect CV out from my Metropolis sequencer to VCO B in, and that's where I control the amount of modulation. So you can already hear we get some really weird, kind of random patterns evolving in different ways. Now I can modulate the decay here. To make it more interesting, I could use one of the envelope generators to trigger some external source, for example a shapeshifter. So I plug in the envelope generator out from the output section, EG2, to the VCA that is triggering shapeshifter. So as you can hear, lots of fun could be achieved here, and it goes way beyond your typical percussive module. It's super flexible, it's tailored specifically for percussion sounds, and it could definitely be your centerpiece for percussion in your modular rig. And of course, not to mention its superb build quality. So whether you have some percussion modules already in your arsenal, or whether you are looking for your first percussion module, I'll definitely recommend you check out TWINCUSSION, as it sounds awesome, it's really easy to navigate, and it's just fun to play with. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.